I'm sure everyone that's watching have someone in their family that worked. I mean, they was doing good and they finally retired, and within months to a year, bam, they died. And it comes like that, like, holy cow, they was doing great until they retired. And they don't get to maximize life in retirement. That's really why I purposed in my heart to tell people it does not take age to retire, because my mom passed and didn't get a chance to do that. I want you to retire on your terms. The pros of waiting to 70, the disadvantage of waiting to 70 to get full retirement, because there are some pros and some cons, and especially within our community, the Black community, because Black males really actually live to age 68 according to most recent life expectancy. So if you live in a 68, not that you are planning on, wanting to die, but if, longevity is not in your family tree, yeah, you're probably thinking, like, let me get this at 50 if I can. That's what you're probably thinking. But if you get it at 62, which you can, it's a reduced amount. And as a Black male, unfortunately, you six more years, give or take a few. So that's a lot of things. That's pretty much a lot going on people's mind. Like, they don't think they're going to live to 68. I can remember growing up in New York, and they used to tell us back then, as a Black male, you may not make it to 25. And if you do, you may end up in prison. And so, I just don't confess these things. I don't believe them. I don't line up with it, but I don't want to be derelict and not give you the stats. And then female go a little longer. They go to 75. Women always outlive men, but that's 75. I'm sure everyone that's watching have someone in their family that worked. I mean, they was doing good and they finally retired, and within months to a year, bam, they died. And it comes like that, like, holy cow, they was doing great until they retired. And they don't get to maximize life in retirement. That's really why I purposed in my heart to tell people it does not take age to retire, because my mom passed and didn't get a chance to do that. My dad did get to retire from driving a city bus in New York, and I helped him do that. Literally, while I was in college, I helped him to get his dream home. And at the same time, he lived to, early 70s, but man, we wish we would have had him longer. Especially 25 years driving a city bus. You wish you would have had way many more years with him. And so, for me, I want you to retire on your terms. Another thing I've coined. And I retired. I had retired at the end of 2008. So I eat my own cooking. I was able to retire. Then I came back into the business. And so, I've done it for myself. And like I said, I've done it for so many others. So the pros, what's the pros? If you go to age 70, and if you can, you actually going to get 124% of your full retirement income from Social Security. And you can actually get up to 132%. And the way you calculate that, each year that you put, on delay, they increase you by 8%. So if 70 is the full number, you go at 63, but then you have 7 more years. Or if you go at 60, 66, 67, you just take the 8% times the number of years to 70. That gets your percentage, add the 100 to that 32, 100 to that 24, and you get 124% of your retirement income. That's the math behind it. And so that's how you can get up to 132% of your full retirement income versus the monthly amount you see. So that's a pro. But you have to plan for that. You have to plan for that, and you use that replacement income of 85% of your income. I like to use that. I've never 30 plus years in the industry, even before being in the industry, just because I've seen too many things in my family and community. I never believed in the quote unquote 60-40 portfolio, 60% equities, 40% bonds when you go into retirement, or 80-20, 80% bonds, 20% stock when you go into retirement. I never believed in that. And I dealt with regulators a ton of years, written papers on it, you name it, to push back against compliance. I had a client in Queens. She's since passed. She had millions, and she was like 70, mid 70s. I had her like 80+% still in the market. And the regulators was giving me heat. Her family gave me heat. They literally tried to sue me because they was like, this is dereliction of duty, da-da-da-da. I put in a unique strategy, a unique structure. She wanted to leave all the money to the grandchildren. So the risk tolerance wasn't to her. It was to the grandchildren. And I was running the money based on her goals and objectives to leave it to the grandchildren and great grandchildren. She was, Lutheran. She was following biblical principles where, a good man leave an inheritance to his children's children. Her husband did for them. She carried it on, and her children's children. And so we ran the money that way. The kids wanted the money, and that's what they was going after. And then ultimately she passed, and the market had tanked in the early 2000s, coming out of the .com. Her account didn't lose a penny. It actually went up, and based on the structure. And so the attorney said, "You're kidding me. This man has actually, quadrupled your amount of money. It's set up for the children." And regulators was like, "There's nothing here." And the children actually pulled it and said, "Holy cow," because they had money at Merrill, and they was getting smashed, and they had money at Fidelity. And this particular account just blew it out because it was a protection on the floor. We protected her on the floor so that she couldn't lose money. So therefore, you don't have that much roll to make up when your account is declining. Because if you're down 15%, in order to get back to zero, you got to earn 15%. And during that time, the S&P averaged 11.54% since its inception. So that's actually almost impossible to do. And so wow. we managed it that way. And so they ultimately kind of put my picture on a mantle of the family for what we did and celebrated. But we had great notes, and her legacy went on. She got wine vineyards in Pennsylvania. It just was a great thing. Yeah. Wow. So, you want to be mindful of that. And then you have inflation. Social Security cost of living only went up 2.5. We just finished the inflation through COVID that people who didn't, know inflation exists. Inflation has always existed. So if cost of living is only 2.5 and you're heavy in fixed income, which averages between 4 and 7 at best, normally 4 and 6, well, geez, you're getting 2.5 taken right out for inflation, which averages normally about 3. And if you're getting 6, you really only earn 3%. And every time they go up on something like eggs, milk, bread, you won't be able to live. So you still manage your money based on your risk tolerance, not just an age, right. And let that money keep growing for you, right. So that you don't have to rush to get it at 62.
Right. Listen, I don't call myself retired. That's not what I label myself as, but I am liberated from corporate America and have been since 2018. It can be done. I am not going back to corporate America. I will continue to do what I love. Like if it means consulting with corporate America as a, independent consultant, then that's one thing. But having shackles that require me to be in an office, gives me stress and anxiety. So I do know it can be done. I also know that it's not too late, right? As long as you have the right strategy in place.